Hello, I hope this is not the first time you're seeing me or my channel, but if it is, I am Sailor Guardian Hope, also known as SG Hope on TikTok. My main YouTube channel, I think this will go on the second channel, and Instagram. I want to go ahead and apologize, this is not my usual filming setup, it's really late. I only had time to record this like right after a very long rehearsal, and this needs to be talked about sooner rather than later, so I have the entire document pulled up that was sent to me by, I believe the user's name was Cure Prism, but a couple letters were left out. Very much thank you to them for bringing this to my attention. Anyways, background noise. Apologies for cats, bird, and any other noise. Again, this is not my usual setup, but that's not what's important here. Okay, I've never had to make a video like this before, and really this is more of a obligation since I'm a pretty decently sized creator in the Precure community. I have partnered with PreCord, who is the subject of this document. I first did a panel for them back in 2022, I believe. I did a gaming panel, and then the following year, which was just a few months ago, I did a Star Twinkle Precure panel, and that video is still up on my YouTube channel. I will be changing the direct link from the PreCord server to this document. I will no longer be working with PreCord, and reading through this, just, you know that feeling when like your heart is breaking and you physically feel it in your chest? That's what I felt by reading this, and I'm not even like a victim here. It's heartbreaking. Trigger warning, this is also in the document, for underage NSFW, pedophilia, racism / anti-blackness, whitewashing, stalking, blackface, grooming, pro-shipping, gaslighting, pro-life, and a phobia? I don't know what pro-shipping... I think I know what pro-shipping is. Let me Google that real quick. I've got this screen recording, so hopefully that... Okay, it's a problematic ship. What is aphobia? Okay, prejudice against asexual / aromantic people. Did not know that. So, I'm gonna read through this document and just give you guys the story and give my own thoughts towards the end about how I think things could have been handled better. My bird. And how we could, as a community, as the Precure community, and maybe other communities can learn from this too, we can prevent this from happening in the future, because I love the fact that the internet can bring people together, but when you have a fandom that's based around a children's property, predators can look at that and go, that's an easy way to get to kids. And I did not think about that when partnering with PreCord or making my own content. I'm like, I see the value in these girly properties that people don't really talk about, and I just want to be nostalgic with other people around my age. And you can't always control who watches your videos, but if you are aware that minors do watch your videos, I am aware personally that a lot of my viewers are 17 and under. You need to be conscious about how you interact with them and what exactly you're putting out there. Because while it's not your job to parent, I couldn't think of another word, I guess, control them. You can't control who watches your videos and who doesn't, but you can create a safe environment when you know that there's minors watching your videos. You can do your best to make sure that predators have no control with your influence, if that makes sense. If I don't make sense at any point in this video, please just make a comment and I will try to elaborate. Again, I am exhausted, but this needs to be talked about sooner rather than later. I know, George. So let's start with disclaimer. The creator of this doc does not condone any harassment of anyone involved or hate raids of any of the involved servers. Do not harass, threaten, or raid any of the servers. Okay, that's a basic disclaimer. And then I appreciate them just in this purple section here, like highlighting who does what and what is more prevalent than other situations, if that makes sense. But I'm not sure. This is a copy of the document because the original document got taken down. And I'm not entirely sure if I have the full document as this copy. So again, if I am missing something, let me know. I'll make a pinned comment and I will address points there. So people of interest, we have the Precure server owned and ran by Cure Lucky, Mooney Hilton. I think I'm familiar with Mooney Hilton. Pluto and Scarlet Illusion. Anyu, who I'm familiar with, PreCord owner and creator. Daisy Cinnamon, I don't believe I'm familiar with you. Twitter user and former NPS staff who made the original 2 PreCord call-out threads, which is now inaccessible. Okay. Noblest T, PreCord Twitter social PR manager. T is the person I'm the most familiar with, but we'll get to her section when we get there. Blossom, I believe I've interacted with you before. PreCord server admin. Build Knuckle, I am not familiar with you. Another admin. DPS stands for Dead Precure Server, which is the old one ran by Saki. Anyu / Echo, a miner who had a very negative experience at the hands of PreCord, and this links to their story. This is heartbreaking, and just the way it's written, this is, which they say in the document they're 13, and I believe it, just because the way it's written, oh gosh, it feels like a... George. It feels like a diary entry almost to me, the way it's written. It's like they're writing the way they're speaking. So, I don't know, just something about that felt very vulnerable. And I guess I'll just read it, it's not that long. There was a pedophile on Discord who kept talking to me. I was trying to distance myself, but he didn't quite understand social cues. You do not have to justify that behavior, hun. Don't blame it on their lack of understanding. I have extreme social anxiety, so it was hard for me to go out and ask him to stop. I have been in a similar situation, I understand that, but I really wish somebody would have encouraged you to speak up. As you probably know, the old Precure server was shut down, and a few new ones were made. The main two being Precure and PreCord. The pedophile was blocked from Precure because they'd seen what he'd said in the old server. Okay, that's something. The pedophile figured out I was not blocked from I cannot speak, I apologize. If there's cuts, it's because I'm stuttering. The pedophile figured out I was not blocked from Precure and spammed me continually, asking for me to ask the staff to let him in. Okay. I was not doing well at the time. I was 12 years old, but lying about being 14 because I was scared that people would be mean to me about my age. Social anxiety is really weird. I will say you were, in my opinion, too young to be there. In a Discord server, I really think Discord should be like 16 and up. That's my personal opinion. But I'm not gonna guilt you on you at all, because I've been that age. I was joining fandom circles when I was like 10 years old. So I understand. And you just want to make friends and talk about the things that you like, and you end up interacting with people who might not always have your best interest. I really feel for you on that. But just as a note to anyone running a Discord server, and either going to take my own Discord server down or make stricter rules. There should really be age limits, and you really need to enforce that so people don't get hurt like this situation. I'll elaborate more on that later. I asked the mods on Precure to help get him to stop, and they were absolutely amazing. I've said it a million times, but thank you guys so much. I'm so happy about that. They told him exactly what I wanted to say, but couldn't due to social anxiety. You're gross, stay away from Anyu, stay away from the server, nobody owes you forgiveness. Exactly, that's great. I agreed with them, and he knew I did not want him to talk to me, and still DM'd me. I didn't block him because of my extreme social anxiety. Hun? Sorry, I say hun as like a southerner. Block, please, there is no shame in blocking, please, please, please. And I'm sure you've probably learned that by now, but just to anyone who's in this situation, if somebody is giving you creepy vibes, especially if you're a minor, block. Block. Block, please. It saves you so much heartache. Once that was over, I realized that he was still allowed in the PreCord server. I didn't want to be in a server with him, but I figured I should report him to the mods rather than leave. That's a smart decision. Since there are many minors in PreCord. Good reasoning. I asked in the general chat if there was a mod malfunction. Sorry, this is crossed weird. Mod malfunction. Then this conversation happened. And they explained the whole username situation. I believe they provide a link because this is a little blurry on my end. Thank you, thank you. I love how organized this is. As terrible as the situation is, I love that y'all are organized. Oh, there's a lot here. Okay, I didn't fully see this. We actually don't have mod mail to my knowledge, okay? And so they privately message KLMNZ. That's okay. Showing screenshots. Again, all of this will be in the description. I want to make main points, but I didn't get to look at this. First, have you blocked them yet? Not yet. I'm a bit scared too. Okay. These are mostly private conversations. See Rule 18. I don't think anything here quite rises to the level where we may need to get involved yet. Okay, please block them, and if they get weird on your server. Okay. So they're basically saying, that's not really an us problem yet, but if it gets worse, let us know. And I understand that mentality, and Anyu handled this very well. This is the rule. The staff is not responsible for your private DMs with other members and will not intervene in private arguments. However, we may still consider actions in cases where the Discord, TOS, or our server's rules were violated, which will result in punishment in proportion to the infractions. And now here's some really weird ones that were Inu, who I think I've only DM'd maybe 1 or 2 times. This, I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me, I'll say that. I don't think, though, those topics really care if you're a minor or not. They're a symptom of human existence. What the I think this moves on to a different point, because I remember seeing this in the document again, unless I'm wrong. Oh, there's text. I apologize. The mod I talked to ended up chatting with the other mods, and they decided to classify him doing this, DMing me, someone he thought was 14, as a pedophile after I told him not to, as a conflict, and put us in a temporary chat room. I don't have any screenshots from this. Oh gosh, I wish you did, but I understand you're not thinking about that in that moment. Okay, wait a minute. So they thought the way to resolve this was to put you two in a private chat room? A predator and a child? Oh, sick. Okay, I was super scared, and the mod knew that he had harassed me and still put us together in a chat room to work it out ourselves. I was really upset, but but by this point, sorry, I cannot read. I was really upset by this point and just listed what he had done. He defended his past actions and I believe repeated some of them in the process. My memory isn't that great. I get it. We finished the conversation with me asking him to stop talking to me and him being like, but we're friends, so no, I won't stop. What? Ew. After the mods told us that due to his behavior in that room, he'd be banned. This is a good thing, but it's worrying that the screenshots of him saying he has romantic feelings for children isn't enough to ban him from the server. I gave them proof that a pedophile was in the server with full screenshots just like they asked, and they let him stay there, classifying my report as a conflict between members when it was harassment. Okay, I had to make a cut because I was wrong on something. I don't believe this. Does this not highlight who the person is? Unless I'm just wrong. Okay, no, there's somebody blocked out. Okay. I'm really tired again, so if I've made a mistake, I will hopefully correct it on screen. If not, I will make a pinned comment. Oh, God, okay. So anyways, we skip down, and this is basically just acknowledgement that Anyu knows that there's minors in the PreCord. And despite that, a situation like this happened, which I think could have been solved a lot quicker than it was. However, I get not wanting to antagonize somebody right away. That being said, when minors are involved, that's a really sticky situation, and I think you need to side with the children because that's their safety, especially if you've provided evidence, but we'll move on. That's the end of my main part of my bone to pick with PreCord, but there's one more part. And this goes into the fandom collaboration, like the fandom website server. And basically how they just wouldn't take any criticism on fandom. Yeah, which isn't illegal, but you know, it's not exactly a good look. That's what I'm getting from that. Hopefully I'm not missing anything. Really gross situation. I'm sorry, Anyu, that you had to go through that. That really breaks my heart for you. Okay, maybe I didn't get proof. You did get proof of allegations. They were clearly talking about me and how I was claiming I didn't give proof. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I know, George. You see that? You see the screenshots. He knows. He knows. Gosh, this really upsets me. Okay, we'll move on from that. Really gross. And this is background information about the PreCord server. Is my thing recording? Yes, it is. Okay. Let me check my camera real quick. Okay, sorry, I had a little screen problem. But now we are back to PreCord and its many problems. Then there's information about the old server. I'm gonna just skip over that. Basically, old server was problematic, got taken down. PreCord and its many problems. PreCord is a Discord server created and run by a man by the name of Anyu. He is around 40 years old and has been a fan since 2004. Does it say on his Twitter? I did not know he was 40. Shows you what I know. Yeah, I don't see anything. How do you know he's 40? Has he just said that? I'm sorry, okay. PreCord was created due to Anyu Blossom build Sismo, Riza, and Coleman, KLMNZ, disagreeing with the owner of DPS on how to run things. Okay. He does not respond well to members expressing concerns and also condones child abuse. I'm gonna pray that's a joke taken out of context. Because I know edgy jokes were a thing a few years back. I'm not gonna sit here and justify behavior, but I just want to see the mindset so I don't immediately make people... Okay, entitlement. Okay, entitled kids should be spanked and taught manners again. Yeah, I can't say hitting your kids is ideal. But the manners thing, I can see that. The spanking though, that's really not looked highly upon anymore for reasons. I think there's studies that shows it's more damaging than helpful. Let's see, and his staff have previously ganged up on a minor and claimed the server would be destroyed by said minor. What? Does that go back to when I had initially leaked the screenshots of my and Enu's DMs? He ganged up on me for reasons I don't know. T has me blocked. Okay. The main thing that T does throughout this document is just block people, and we'll get there when we get there. Now, who's this referring to again? I apologize. Does this refer back to Anyu? This might refer back to Anyu. If I am wrong, I will make a pinned comment. Let's see, let's move on. Also, don't gang up on children. I think you can call people out on their behavior and say, hey, this is wrong for this reason. And if they still keep having that trolling energy, yeah, then you can block defo. But I don't know, this seems a little more malicious, I guess, and I don't think the minor meant for this to be a trolly thing. This seems like a genuine concern. But Enu is also a cishist man. Cishist. Okay. And it seems that he was getting mad at people for harmlessly shipping Mashiro and Sora and calling certain scenes gay. Okay. So if you're watching this somehow and you don't know about Precure, there's a lot of different ships to varying degrees. Most of them are very wholesome. The fandom likes to keep it cutesy because a lot of these characters are minors, and I'm cool with that. There's lots of cute ships that are teenage. Please don't aggro ship, is what they say. Which, what does aggro ship mean? I apologize, I don't know all this terminology. Okay, this brings me back to pro ship. So is this a similar pro ship thing? What is my bird doing? Shh, it's okay. So, moving on from that, it's not something that would immediately set off a red flag for me, just saying, yeah, don't post that here. But at the same time, I could definitely see how that's oh, they're being homophobic. I can see either side. Echo was 12 years old when they were talking with a pedophile on Discord. Oh lordy, okay. When DPS was deleted, the Predator found out they were not banned on NPS or PreCord. Sorry. As soon as Echo told the mods on NPS about this person, the mods immediately contacted the staff of PreCord after supplying a mountain load of proof. KLMNZ says it had to have happened in PreCord in order for them to make the ban. Okay, so basically, okay, this leads into the screenshots, and it's that's not a thing we can handle yet because it sounds like a personal problem, but if it gets worse, we'll do something. And then again, Enu is very aware of this. On the one hand, I understand wanting to hear both sides and make sure this isn't a false accusation. But on the other hand, there's clear proof of it, and pedophiles are not something to mess with. Endangering minors is not something to mess with. So I'm not really understanding the hesitancy on that. But we'll get there when we get there. To solve this issue, the mods put Echo and the groomer in a chat together, and this is what we read in that document. Okay. Which is really not what I would have done if it were me. I would have taken this very seriously, messaged that person privately, and been like, you want to explain these screenshots, buddy? You want to, like, elaborate? Maybe defend yourself? Because this is just straight up illegal. And I'm laughing out of just nervousness and, like, disgust. Because how do you... This should have been taken more seriously, in my opinion. Regardless of your stance on sexualizing fictional minors or problematic ships like PreCord has condoned before, putting real minors in danger because you refuse to click one button is absolutely vile. I do agree with this. When there's real minors involved, you really need to take it seriously. That is not something to mess with. This is not the first time they've neglected to ban actual groomers / predators either, and others continue to be in the server or even active to this day, even after being shown proof. Goodness. There was also a mishandling of an incident regarding another minor who had been wrongfully banned and someone who had been stalking / harassing / dragging her friends, and the PreCord staff applied the same tactics as they did with Echo and the groomer. So basically, the situation has been repeated over and over. They're not learning how to properly take care of predators and keep the minors in the server safe. Oh God, how do you not take something like that seriously? I'm trying to see from their point of view and be like, well, you know, these are like unpaid people who aren't online all the time, but once you see a message like that, I just couldn't in good faith not take it seriously and at least do some investigating to make sure that what's being sent is real. And banning the predator, that doesn't make sense to me. But, you know, I wasn't there. I'm not a mod on PreCord, never will be. So, I don't know. I can only say what I would have done and what is obviously wrong. See, a pro-lifer man was also neglected to be banned in PreCord. Why is abortion being talked about in PreCord? Is my question. That's a very heavy topic, whether you're pro-life or pro-choice or... why is abortion being talked about in a Precure server? Oh my God. I hate the internet. As he wasn't active for a few months in the server. So he wasn't banned because he wasn't active, and they're just like, he's not gonna be there. Okay. I mean, I guess you're like, well, he's not currently a threat right now, and people really shouldn't be talking about abortion in PreCord. But on the other hand, I see why having a person like that is very concerning, especially around minors. I know it, George. My cat is not happy about this situation. This next section goes into fan art, and it's a lot of like pro shipping, and some of it seems like very innocent on the surface, and then some of it is like, and I know people will make the argument where like, it's just a drawing, you know. But on the other hand, if you have a server full of minors, I cannot in good faith promote that, if that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense, because that normalizes saying, hey, this older character and this younger character are together and they're so cute, and that can be you. You don't encourage that, whether it's in fiction or in real life. I just don't think that's healthy. I don't like this. I do not like this. I see the argument being made, absolutely. But I also see how some of this could be, like, innocent. Like, they're just doing a little pose. That one's a little questionable. That's kind of questionable. Maybe. I don't know how old that character is. Between Cure Butterfly and Yukiara, I don't remember who you are. Okay. Okay, the first one, Tsubage, ship name. Okay, that's Tsubasa and I cannot say her name. Cure Butterfly, which is adult and minor. Again, I've established that. I think that's gross. Nozomi and Coco. I hate that ship with a passion. He's her whole teacher. But again, I see how some of this looks like really innocent, like this one from Kira Kira and the siblings. That's adorable. But it is in the pretty couples category, so either somebody posted in the wrong server or that's not a good look. Again, there's just so many examples in here, and if you want to look, absolutely do so. And some of these look really innocent, like this one with Rosemary and Yui. And they're just sharing food. That's adorable. But it's in the shipping server, so I can see where red flags would pop up. And this, like, Elena got whitewashed. Oh, gosh. And they gave him, like, huge boobs. Please, Precure artists, please stop doing that. Those are little girls. This leads into the next section where the PreCord staff have been retweeting and liking questionable fan art of characters that are minors, which is gross. To me, this is gross. Now, anime fans can probably make a million ways to justify this. Just in my personal opinion, this is gross. You don't do that as like a 20 or 30 or 40 something year old person. I will say I'm 20 years old. Your taste changes as you grow up. When you're a teenager, you find other teenagers attractive. But when you're my age, even though I was just a teenager just a couple years ago, like a minor a couple years ago, I was a minor when I started this whole social media thing, I can't in good conscience look at a teenager the same way I did as a teenager, if that makes sense. So the fact that there are people on this earth who can still look at children, teenagers, and just be like, yeah, that's the one. That's gross. Even in fan art, well, I'm gonna assume this is not illegal here in the States. In good conscience, I don't really like it. But at the same time, sometimes you look at a piece of fan art and you're just like, oh, that's a pretty piece of fan art, and you just like it and you move on, and you don't really realize it's sexual, and that kind of goes back to the server thing, where it's like, well, it didn't seem sexual at the time, but I get how it could be sexual. But I don't know, that doesn't work as well with the fan art stuff, because these are literal, like, teenagers in positions that are not appropriate. Again, I'm just gonna scroll through this. I've made my point on that. And I get how some of the mods could be like, well, you're using my personal Twitter against me in a professional setting. But that's how the real world works. When you apply for a job, or you're doing something professional, or you're in a leadership position, people look into what you do, even if it was 3, 4, 5 years ago. And sometimes that sucks, and sometimes it's valid. Okay, we're at a new section called PreCord Twitter, and this is going through the official PreCord Twitter, and they follow a bunch of NSFW artists, which, again, if you're a server with a bunch of minors, I don't think giving them a way to find that content easily is acceptable. But I don't know if there's a way to like private, like restrict who can see who you follow. That's what I mean. I don't know if there's a way to do that on Twitter. I'm not on there a lot. But regardless, I don't know if you know if you know you influence minors, if you know you have any power over minors, I don't think you should link to that stuff or make it easy for them to find. But at the same time, you're not their parent. So that could be like, oh, well, it's not my fault. My actions are my actions. And that would make sense for a private account or a personal account, but this is like the official PreCord. I know a surfer. I know it. So, yeah, I totally see the problem there. That seems more like an oversight than anything, but that does endanger minors. So, the official PreCord Twitter also tweeted this for American Independence Day. This one, I did not see the problem at first. Honestly, I was like, it's just, they're trying to use the theming, and I see the argument here that the international cures from Happiness Charge were not the most well done. If you have watched Happiness Charge, if you're familiar with Precure, the international cures are just cures around the world. And if you know Japan, sometimes their depiction of certain cultures is not accurate. So I can see how using these stereotypes, basically, in this way that's like, oh, cutesy this or that, seems a little inappropriate. I understand that. But I really don't think that was made with malicious intent. PreCord also has a Precure NSFW artist on staff as an emote specialist. Again, this brings your personal life with your professional work, even though you're not getting paid to be a mod on Discord or do any of this. This is just, community stuff that can be used as a point of concern because you are exposing kids potentially to not safe for work content. You have to be really careful about that. If you are going to hire somebody, you shouldn't let them promote that work in a place where you know that minors are going to be. That's my personal opinion. But at the same time, you can't control whoever's going to just actively look for stuff. So I get both sides of the problem. I just really think we should side with minors on this one and really try to protect them. But again, let's move on. This shows the account, and the Laura picture really disturbs me. I'm gonna hopefully censor this. But you can she's drawn with bigger boobs and her butt's out, and you can definitely see the outline of her part I cannot say on YouTube. Oh yeah, her lady bits are just all out in the open. I mean, she's wearing the leggings, but you can see. And then they're just like, I don't see them as children. Smigglze, I hope I'm saying your name right. I don't see them as children, neither should you. Okay, let's clear something up here. Lolicon doesn't equal pedophilia. Now, if you are familiar with the anime community, lolicons are basically people who, from my understanding, like children, but usually drawn as anime. They don't like real children. They like fictional children. Even though it says here in the document, lolicon is the Japanese word for pedophile. I have not Googled that to make sure, but the document says it. And basically every tired argument that lolicons use to defend their content, including comparing liking children to being attracted to the same sex. Oh, ew. Ew, okay, now that gives the LGBTQ community a bad name. And this, okay, this is just the evidence of Smigglze being gross. Yeah, Smigglze, I have no defense for you on this one. This is just gross. I don't know who you are, but not a good look. PreCord racism dismissal. Oh no. With racism, I will talk about this still, but as a white person, someone with absolutely no spice in the genetics, I might not be the person to talk about this. That being said, I can definitely tell when something's inappropriate towards a certain group of people. Like, we have straight up blackface in here. This is definitely not okay now. It was not okay when Shane Dawson was doing it, and it was never okay to begin with. This has not been acceptable in the mainstream for decades, and it has never been acceptable at all, in my opinion. Oh god, and these are like such garbage like recolorings that it makes me think that this is a child, and I'd have to look back at who this is to see if they're a minor or not. And see, this person was reported for these terrible screenshots, which I forgot to look at this top one here with the girls from Sweet having big boobs again. What is wrong with you people? Oh shoot, that's straight up the N-word. That's straight up the N-word. And these are from 2016. That was not acceptable back then. I know edgy humor was like a thing in like the late 2010s with like the whole Filthy Frank and Leafy is here, that kind of vibe. iDubbbz. That's straight up the N-word. What the actual heck? We have more fan art here that's really inappropriate, and either this person was asked to draw it, or Magia is an alternate name for the racist Faye. And oh gosh, I can't even read that. It's the fried chicken stereotype. Oh my gosh, how ignorant. How just... Don't you have better things to do than be racist? There are way better ways to be humorous. Because that's not funny. That just makes people feel bad. Ugh. Let's move on. I'm actually like getting angry at that one. On July 26, 2023, Blossom DM'd the owner of a server unrelated to PreCord or Precure that had posted this document in their announcements channel to spread awareness about it. She said, okay, this is the current update. I believe this is about the document being taken down. Additionally, as of July... What was that date again? This was the 26th, it is the 28th, this is very recent. Instead of asking this person, whom she had never spoken to previously, politely to take the announcement down, she proceeded to threaten to report their server for violating Discord's terms of service, question mark, question mark. Okay. The fact that the first thing she resorted to as a fully grown adult was blackmailing is very telling. Yeah. On the one hand, I can definitely see the panic, and when you panic, you don't always make the best decisions. I want to be gracious, but at the same time, this is just... That's not how you handle this. Again, if, I can only give my perspective here, but if it were me, and I somehow ended up in a situation like this, I would privately contact that person and really try and solve things privately. And do my best to, if I were a mod, make my server safer take everything into consideration at the very least, and not blackmail, not threaten minors. Because I get that a document like this can be very devastating, especially if like your in real life personal information is attached. But at the same time, maybe if you don't have racism and pedophilia rampant and don't do anything about it, you wouldn't be in the situation. Just, okay. Okay, and I see you've banned me from your server, okay. Thus, I can assume that you're complicit with our harassers. Cool friends, so I'm hardly surprised. Okay. Now, this originally, when I first saw it, I saw a little bit of Twitter drama back, I believe, in May, and it didn't seem this big. It just seemed like trolling from what I had seen. But clearly, this is a lot more, and it should have been taken seriously. So I will personally apologize for just seeing one or two things and just being like, oh, that doesn't... There's nothing serious there. It just seems like some hurt feelings when there's just straight up pedophilia and racism and harassment. Oh gosh. Even though I didn't directly hurt anybody, I really feel bad for anybody who has been hurt by PreCord, whether it's the mods themselves or people who really should not have been on the server and used Precure to get to kids because it's a kids franchise. That just, oh god, that's gross, man. As a content creator, you don't think about stuff like that happening. You know there's evil out there, you know there's predators out there, but when you yourself, you're making content and you meet people around your age who like the same things, you're thinking that they're the same as you. You think they have the same heart as you. You think they have the same intentions as you, and they don't. You don't know that 100%. I have more points to make on that later, but let's continue. We're getting towards the end of the document where it's bringing up questionable partners. I am no longer a PreCord partner. If I am still on there, please take me off. And let's see. The original Twitter stuff that I've already explained, which I might read again just to get more context, because really, I'm not that active on Twitter. I had only seen bits and pieces and just thought, drama. Firstly, Blossom claims that her harassers are the people in the server that have the cool friends role. The server owner clarifies that the role is only cosmetic, and as such, the people who have had it have no mod power. Okay, so it's just a label, just to have some identity in the server. I understand that. Blossom continues to press on and claims that her harassers, which include not just the owner's cool friends, but also Etoile Moonlit, I'm so sorry, I cannot say that name, had an intention to bring drama into the community. Now the names Mooney Hilton and Lilith Nagisa might sound familiar to you. Mooney Hilton does sound familiar to me. I think I've seen your tweets a couple times. You seem funny. I think you are quite humorous. That would be because they're both staff members of the Precure Discord server. I believe this is referring to the new one that Cure Prism, minus a couple letters, told me about. That it seems to be a safer alternative to PreCord. If I need to correct myself, I will do so in editing or comment. George. I know it, George, I know it. Hey, get over here. Get over here, pretty boy. Come read the document with me. Okay. Clearly, she's claiming that she and PreCord have been harassed for years, which was, you know, manipulative, sorry. Yeah, that could be seen as manipulative. But also, when you aren't trained to handle this stuff, you can be easily defensive. So I get both parties, but again, when you're dealing with very intense topics like racism and pedophilia, especially, something that is very dangerous to quite a bit of your server, I think you need to take some feelings out of it and just say, hey, here's the situation. Let's see how we can keep you safe. Also, this thread posted by Cure Lucky, one of the owners of the Precure server, there had only been two big conflicts between the two servers. First one in April 2023, PreCord thread, which is covered below, and the other was this document, I believe, which clearly Blossom is convinced Precure has a hand in. Okay, so I'm understanding that PreCord and the new Precure server are having drama, so Blossom thinks that the document was made specifically to target PreCord and take it down, and maybe people would leave and join the other Precure server when they could just join both. I don't understand how this document could be seen as a very manipulative thing. This is so detailed and there's so much evidence that I don't see this as being a purely trolling thing. I don't see this as trolling at all. This seems like evidence that has been built up and people coming together to say, hey, this is a lot of inappropriate stuff that's happened and this needs to be talked about and not swept under the rug like sometimes people tend to do. Because it's hard to talk about this stuff. It's hard to acknowledge that maybe you didn't create the safest environment for people. Maybe you didn't do enough. Or maybe you didn't act quick enough. I get that. I get that would weigh on your conscience. At least it would for me. It would weigh on my conscience and it would scare me. And if you're not prepared to handle that in a mature way, your fight or flight can kick in and you're just block, ignore. If I don't acknowledge it, it doesn't exist. I understand that mentality. But as I've said throughout this video, if there are minors involved, your personal feelings need to get out, go aside, and you make sure your space is as safe and pleasant as you can possibly make it within your control. Sometimes creeps are going to slip through and you just have to handle it as quickly as you can and just hope that nobody gets hurt before it's too late. Okay, I'm starting to lose my voice here. I think if the PreCord mods had just acted a little faster, this would not have happened. I really don't want to believe some of the people in here are bad people because I've messaged them, not everybody in this document. I'm only close with maybe one, and that would be T, and even then we've never met in real life. I don't want to believe some of these people are bad. Just maybe they didn't act with the best judgment. And it's hard when, this is a fan project and you're overwhelmed with your real life and your fandom and your all this stuff. But at that point, you really should either take a step back or work harder to make sure people are safe. I'll stop rambling. I'm going to ramble myself into a corner. Okay, in late April of 2023, Daisy Cinnamon made an unorganized call-out thread on PreCord. After a week, Daisy then released a multi-thread call-out on PreCord. I don't believe I saw this. And their wrongs and what they can do to fix these flaws. I do appreciate that second part. I don't think it's enough to just call out. I think you need to give constructive criticism, give solutions rather than just point out the problem. I like that. Unfortunately, the thread was deleted due to Daisy's Twitter account getting mass reported. That's why I didn't see it, and that led to this document. That way it couldn't get deleted. Even though this was deleted. The original document was deleted, but copies have been made. Very smart thinking on that one. Later, Noblest T, an event manager and suspected mouthpiece for the PreCord staff. Suspected mouthpiece? Sorry, that caught me off guard. Posted a response to the thread. Yeah, which I believe I have seen some of this. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe I haven't. There's one with T that I recognized. I think it was a little lower in the document. This might not be up anymore. Okay, it's a twit longer. That was made April 29th. Sorry for any voice cracks. I'm losing my voice at this. Continue without supporting. Okay, this just goes through it. I am the one who will make the call to block, which I do know how T runs things. T is very quick to block, and I usually understand it. If somebody is being just rude and cruel and just harassing you, you don't have to put up with it. You need to block them. That's like back with the very first Anyu story. I understand the social anxiety and not wanting to hurt people's feelings, but you really, really, really need to block just whoever is harassing you, especially if there's like a power imbalance, like age. That's don't do that. Oh gosh, you don't have to take it. And I don't think blocking should be shamed. So that's, let's see, at the end of the day, for the sake of my own personal mental health and the mental health of my friends, I block people / things that smell like drama. And I understand that mentality. But sometimes when you're so quick to react, you miss out on something that might be important, if that makes sense. So I really understand both sides, because from the outside, it looks like T is just being very defensive. But at the same time, if you've been harassed on the internet, you get tired of it. So I get it. This probably wasn't the best way to handle this particular situation. But blocking somebody is not inherently a bad thing. So this is, she has also responded to tweets of people expressing their concerns about PreCord and claimed that they were spreading lies. Okay. She also claimed PreCord does not have a ship channel when someone replied, confronting her about something that was shared in the now archived ship channel. The only thing I can think of is that maybe they're saying, I believe this is still referring to T. T was referring to the present and not the archived, maybe? That's the only explanation I can give to that, because it very clearly does exist, unless somehow these are all fake, and this would be very hard to fake. So, let's see. Cure Blossom said, I also know how it feels to not be believed, because I feel that right now, when reading your posts, those you support have hurt a lot of people, and if you truly stick with kids' safety, you should be against them as well. But until then, I'll take up your offer and block you. This is just a heartbreaking situation, honestly. I believe I did see this tweet at some point, where T was like, do you want to get this out of your system? Which can sound snarky, but I really do want to say at this point T had just had enough and didn't want to deal with it at all. Which I get. But again, minors. Minors in danger. So, my advice to T would be, maybe, if you can't 100% handle these types of situations, stay out of this part of being a mod, if that makes sense. It just really seems like T's overwhelmed. Just from what I'm getting, and it can seem like the responses are very hostile, and they are. They sound very hostile. But at the end of it, they're like, if you are genuine, you're free to ask specific questions. So I feel like T was trying to handle it. But some things, like calling them terrible people, might not have been the best way. Again, we'll move on. Okay, this goes to the server. The blocking and the lack of professionalism. Lack of professionalism, I guess that's towards questionable partners. This is the section I don't believe I got to read. On July 3rd, PreCord announced their partnership with a fellow Precure-focused server, Precure Fans. Precure Fans seems like an average, unproblematic Precure server. However, looking into it, it is run by a homo and transphobic Christian kid who refuses to take responsibility for her actions. Okay, how about as a rule we just don't let kids run Discord servers that are like this public, you know? If you want your own little like friend group Discord server, that's one thing, but like a big community, no, don't do that. Yeah, that's we're gonna just skip on through. You really, I could see they're just like, oh, it's a Precure server, but you really need to look into this stuff before you partner with people. And if you know you do happen to overlook something, just take that away, take the partnership away, and be like, hey, I cannot work with you anymore. That's what I would do. This is the, okay, I did see this. This line got to me. I'm not against gay people. I never said that. I just don't agree with homosexuality. I'm sorry. I'm tired, okay? Just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean I don't like you. I feel like you can say that about, like, food. I feel like you can say that about, like, clothes, styles. But just basically being like, ooh, yeah, I do not like that you're gay and that you can get married in the US or in certain other countries. I'd have to look up where and for how long gay marriage has been legal in places. But it's basically like, yeah, I didn't say I hated you, but I really don't think you deserve rights. Like, come on. Ugh. Not a good look, Peep. Get that Kudurun off your profile. I'm trying not to be too jokey because this is very serious, but that got me. Peep using the classic, I have gay friends, so I'm not homophobic. I'm gonna say in Peep, you are clearly a child who, like myself, was raised with some sort of I thought something was on me for a minute. You were raised in a conservative, Christian, strict household. And if you would have asked me like a few years ago, I probably would have sounded like this at like 12. I'm not kidding. Because that's how I was raised. And that's the community I grew up in. But as you get older, you learn, you grow, you realize that these people who were portrayed as the enemy are just normal people just trying to get through their life. And even at 20, I'm still learning, I'm still growing, I'm still coming to understand people who would have absolutely gotten the crap kicked out of them if they grew up in my hometown. But again, this is why I don't think kids should run public servers. It's one thing if you're a kid and you want to make content, I still think that should be monitored. But when you are just actively running a big social circle, you can get yourself in a lot of crap. That just turned on. I will be right back. Ugh, my legs hurt from sitting here almost an hour. Okay. We are towards the end of the document, at least of what I have. And it's just concluding what is wrong with Peep and this particular Precure fan server. Okay, so we just have a little bit left, and this is basically saying that PreCord should really check on who they're partnering with more thoroughly, I guess, is the right word for that. Again, I'm exhausted. I agree with that, absolutely. And I wrote some points for like a little advice segment at the end. I dropped my hairbrush. I love that for me. I have a hairbrush just like right here. It's from Disney when I was a kid. It's Tinkerbell. That's irrelevant. I made some notes for tips for a safe PreCord or Precure server. That kind of goes with this ending stuff to basically be like, hey, check on your partners, check on who you're supporting, and make sure they align with your own views and you're keeping your people safe, whether it's the mods or just users. My cat, that is not for you. That is not for you. I don't know if you can see him, but I love George. So I wrote tips for a safe PreCord or Precure server. Number 1, set an age limit for entry. Obviously, people are going to lie about their age, and honestly, at that point, you can't do much about it. But that's not me referring to Anyu, who lied about, like, what, a year or two? Either way, they're still a minor. I'm talking about people who lie about being an adult when I'm saying that. But if you set an age limit, I think you can do a better job of making sure kids are safe. Which I want to say PreCord had an age limit, like, to get in, if that makes sense. So that might not have been a problem for PreCord, or maybe people just didn't listen. I'm too tired to look at that. Number 2, enforce rules set to keep members safe and happy. That goes with the age limit thing. I understand like a 3-strike rule, like timeout, warning, and then ban. But when it comes to pedophilia, I think you need to really be quick on that. Or racism, be really quick on that. Maybe just skip to like warning to ban. Or just ban, honestly. Let's not endanger minors here. Number 3, provide information to minors about how grooming works and provide a safe space for them to report incidents like these in the future. It's kind of like the way public schools have to prepare you for school shooter drills. You hate that it's a reality, but you need to be kept safe. So you prepare for the worst. And grooming is such a huge problem on the internet that kids need to know. And we, as the young adults or older adults of the internet, really need to make sure, if we have a community of minors, we need to make sure they're safe. We need to make sure they have access to information so they can know what to do if they are being groomed and how to know if they are in general. That's just my opinion. I wish somebody would have done that for me as a minor, because I was groomed at a much younger age. Number 4, run a background check on all mods. I wrote like this huge paragraph. Staying anonymous and having a position of power does not work well together. Require staff to fill out a form with personal information plus names of past accounts to make sure they have no prior history of misconduct. It's basically what you do for work. Like, they run a background check on you before they hire you, just to make sure they aren't hiring criminals. I hate to take away the anonymous factor of the internet, but with positions of power, I don't think you get to have that sort of grace. I don't feel like you deserve it. I don't mean like give out your social security or like really, really private information, but just enough to where whoever's in charge can run a background check and be like, yeah, this person is clear, no crazy history, or, oh my gosh, this person's like a registered sex offender. Ugh. Which that leads into the whole lying thing again. People can lie. People can say there's somebody they're not. So this isn't like 100% foolproof. Those are just my suggestions. Those are just my suggestions. would love to hear as a community what you think we could do to make people feel safe, not just in the Precure fandom, but in fandoms in general, in communities in general. The fact that this happened around a really cutesy show that is about love and friendship and acceptance, and it's just really wholesome. The fact that people can take something like that and use it to take advantage of minors or be cruel to others just really bothers me. Because it goes against what you're a fan of, really, if you are even a fan. But I think I have said my piece on this. I do apologize for not getting to it earlier. And thank you to Cure Prism, with a couple letters missing. I hope I have your name right, I could be wrong. For sending me this, because I had no idea. I will not be partnering with PreCord ever again. I'm really just gonna stay away from Discord in general. That's gross. This whole situation's gross, man. And to the minors involved who were hurt by the actions or lack of action with the adults around you, I deeply apologize if you've been hurt. It's gross, man. I'm tired. I don't know what else to say. I just hope that I can make my community very safe, very secure, and I don't want to villainize every single person for something they didn't handle 100% properly. But when it gets to the point when there's racism and homophobia and literal endangerment of minors, the kids are important to protect. That's what matters. And while you're not their parent, you should listen when they say, hey, this person is doing something very problematic, or they're trying to take advantage of me, or they're trying to take advantage of somebody else. You need to listen. Whether or not they're telling the truth, that's on them. But there was so much evidence in this document, I don't know how it could be false. And things should have been taken care of way earlier. That way this document didn't even have to come out. That way I would have been ignorant and have never had to talk about this. I am deeply sorry I have ever promoted PreCord. I did not know this was going on. And again, I'm just sorry to people who were hurt by this. Gosh, okay. I believe that is all I have to say. If I have not made a point clear enough, just let me know. I will try to elaborate in the comments. I'll try to check within the first 48 hours. It's usually what I do. But if I don't get to you, you are free to DM me as well on Instagram. I usually respond if your message doesn't go into the request void. But after the first 48 hours, I hope I never have to hear about this again, because this is gross. Precure fans, we can do better.